Okay, this part of the video is about your zodiac sign. You have more than one sign. You have a sign that you're born under, your birth sign, and plus the two signs that gave birth to you. You're only going to understand this in your maturity stage as a lady and a gentleman when we admit to ourselves of who we are. We grew up saying, I'll never be like my mom and dad. I'll never marry nobody like my mom and dad. And as soon as you have children, you'll sound like your parents, period, because they imprinted on you. Their signs imprinted on you. Their signs gave birth to you. So you're going to know their signs. And you'll know your brothers and sisters just as much because you argue with them. You couldn't argue with your mom and dad as much as you can argue with your brother and sister. So, and it's not about attraction like I like boyfriend, girlfriend type of thing. It's that comfortable being close to that sign, understanding that sign, how it affects you emotionally. And your 7 signs are your sign, your mother's, your father's, your mother's mom and dad, which is your grandparents, your dad's mom and dad, which is your grandparents. And a lot of times we know our mother's parents more than we know our father's, but they're part of your sign. You draw a circle around those 7 signs. That's your yin yang. That is your growth, everything about you. The things that are going to be attracted to you, and you're going to be attracted to them. And it's understanding that attraction that you may have a teacher that you want to, that you really like to learn from. It has nothing to do with that teacher, but it has everything to do with that zodiac sign. You open yourself to receive the sign of that. And every sign has this compartment. There's 4 different compartments. A mental, emotional, and a physical compartment. 4 signs in each one of them. You got your physical sign, you got your mental sign, you got your emotional signs. And you can be born underneath an emotional sign. That's what your birth sign is. But you can look like your mom. So she got a physical sign that you wearing your mother. And you can act like your father, mentally, or think like your father. Okay? So when you understand that, or guess what? You can have a physical sign and react like your mother's emotional sign and your dad's mental sign. And it can be either or. But when you learn to be able to see yourself in your parents, you'll learn how to see yourself in others, other people's zodiacs, and how their signs are going to affect you, and how you're going to affect them and react to them. And a lot of times a sign ain't going to always be the same based on what their conditions are. A Gemini working in the medical field is going to be caring. A Gemini working in a police field is going to be a little bit more stronger, standoffish, not as caring. But they're both Geminis. You got to understand our work environment sometimes affects who we are in our signs. Because what you got along with one time before, but where they come from, what have they been exposed to? What have their trials and tribulations caused their sign to vibrate, which misses. It's strange to you. It's different. Don't be afraid of it. You learn something. We learn from each other. And when you understand that, you understand it. But again, your 7 zodiac signs, they help you find your perfect mate, your perfect friend, your perfect boss, your perfect job. Okay? What you, on a mental, emotional, and physical level, really get into. To understand yourself, understand your 7 signs. A lot of times people are going to sit there and say, I look more like my grandmother than my mom. That's the physical part of the sign, least important. But if you carry that physical resemblance, think about the mental and emotional of that zodiac sign that your grandmother may be, or your grandfather may be, whatever it may be. And learn how to read it. Sometimes you can read your mother's sign, you swear to God it's your mom. Mom, this is you, this is every bit of you. Because you're born of that sign, you know that sign. You still learning your sign. You're iffy with your because you're still learning it. But you know your mother's sign so well because you felt it. Vibrations. The same what you feel from your mother's, her zodiac sign, your brothers and sisters. Learn how to read that in others. We're all empaths. We just got to open ourselves up to that empath. And part of opening yourself up is reading the signs that you know and that you're born of. Feel yourself in others. Why are you comfortable with it? Relate to them. What is your sign? It may not be yours. but their mom's sign may be one of yours, their dad's sign may be one of yours. Then you understand why you relate to that individual. And somebody may be your exact sign. They're just doing you totally different, and it could be your enemy. And the funny part is, they got more of your signs than you. They're just doing you differently. This is the yin and the yang. When you decide to go right, they went left, and it bothers you. But you can feel that y'all so much alike, but it bothers you. But everybody walks their path and make their decisions. It's not your decision to make a decision for somebody else, and not somebody else's decision to make a decision for you. You should never allow that. Understand who you are. That's what life is about. Learning who you are, what you can take back to heaven and show God that you learned. That's what we do as human beings. To take back in our celestial form. So guess what? God can send a better human being down here to do it again. You know these children. Every time they come with more and more knowledge. And that's because Jesus knows what's going on earth. And that's why God asked Jesus, what do my child need to make it back through heaven's gate? Jesus, he tells God. God gives it to us. Believe in it. Believe in who you are. Your 7 signs will show your constellation. Take 7 stars to make a constellation, like the Big Dipper. So your 7 zodiac signs are your 7 stars. And then you can take it back to your true conception moment. Then you really tune in on who you are. And understand that and read it. Read the signs. And just take the time to think about it. You'll sense yourself. You'll sense yourself. We've been programmed to 9 months. What about our conception moment? That would that'll elevate us to who we truly are, our celestial stars above. Time and essence. And God, is all in one time. But the time and birth of your mother already was planned out, the time and birth of you. And when you put up in a star system, you draw a line to how they come out. That is your Big Dipper. Understand that and try to see yourself within it and believe in it and open yourself up to read it and feel it. The more you open yourself up, the more you understand yourself. Is that bad? When you take the time to think about your thoughts, only you, Jesus, and God know your thoughts. Pretty good conversation, isn't it? Whatever comes of that conversation, it's called wisdom. You have a knowledge base. There's a lot of things you thought about. And you put in your knowledge base. You got to find it confident to be able to speak it. And when you speak your thoughts, you speak the word of God and Jesus. That can't be wrong. You can say anything to anybody. It's based on how you say it. Change your vocabulary. Change your words. Change your words. You change your outcome. Understanding, really, the only way you got to change them is match your words to your thoughts. Most people don't speak their thoughts. That's why you can't believe a lot of stuff will come out of people's mouths. Until you settle them down, make them truly speak their thoughts. Question the words that they speak, and I promise you'll be surprised. Because you don't give them what they want by agreeing with everything they say. That's not a real conversation. A conversation is to really be intrigued by what that person's saying and understand the deeper depth of what they're saying. That's conversating. Understanding the deeper depth of what they're saying. Not to get stuck on society's genericness that limit you from intriguing into the deeper depth of your mind, your thoughts. When somebody taking the time to make you think about your thoughts, they're only making you have a conversation with God. I don't know what you're going to say, mentally, emotionally. Don't care either. It's not for me to care. It's for you to care to be able to speak your thoughts. And once you speak your thoughts, that means you accept it and receive Jesus and God. And you're proud. They're not going to say nothing negative. I'm not saying nothing negative. I'm just trying to give you an option to awaken the goddess in you and awaken the angel in you. Acting like a man on earth don't got shit to do with God. Don't got shit to do with heaven. Don't got shit to do with Jesus. That is your physical form. We manage the flesh. Jesus managed the souls, and God managed the spirits. And the soul carries sins of the flesh. So be careful what you do with your flesh. You hear me? You'll feel it. You'll know it. Then that will stain your soul, and your soul will have a hard time. Your spirit don't want to come through a stained soul. Your spirit don't want to come through a stained soul. Because God ain't gonna let that in heaven's gate. That's like a pair of dirty shoes. Okay? That's what your soul is, a pair of dirty shoes. It's been in that physical form. It carries sins. Sins is the dirt on your soul. It can't already go through. That's why it can take you to heaven's gate. But once you take your soul off, what comes outside your soul is your spirit. And your spirit go through heaven's gate. Only if your soul can release it. By you committing and admitting to all your heavenly sins. Not earthbound sins. We know on earth you good. Question is, you good up in heaven? Take the time and think about it. But again, no different than your stages, your zodiac signs. You got 7 signs. Your first 3 is yours, your mother's, and your father. Regardless of how much you sit there and say you won't be like them, in your maturity stage, you'll come and realize that. In your growth stage, you're running from them. In your maturity stage, you come to realize you've been running from yourself. Save yourself the time and look back and see who the hell you are. Understand that. Understand, don't get trapped in your woman stage or your man stage. If you come to realize what's greater than a woman is the lady, why not start doing it now? Save yourself some time and agony. When you come to realize what's greater than a man is a gentleman. And you know God won't accept a man in you. You shouldn't stand in front of your God as a man. Why not start acting like a gentleman now? Do what a man can't do. You do it for God, practice it. You got a goddess on earth. Bow down to her, serve her, provide for her, protect her, parent the child, regardless if it's your child, your seed or not. It's a child of God. You date a woman with another man's child, another man's seed, does not matter. It's not his child. That's a child of God. You better babysit that child as if it was yours, because they're all God's children. They're all God's children. Understand that. Stop beating her up and telling her, it ain't my child, it ain't her child, it ain't his child. That's God's child. And you better keep it. And he always, big brother. Jesus got an eye on you. Remember, he gave his life for us. So you better believe you're going to keep an eye on Jesus' kids. He got domain over heaven's gate because he gave his life for us. So when he keeps an eye on you, he's watching out for God's kids. So to act that way, and you can't bow down to God's kids on earth, and bow down for that goddess that you happen to be trying to go through heaven's gate, because heaven on earth is between the legs of a goddess. Between the legs of a goddess. Don't disrespect that, because you disrespect that, Jesus is not going to let you bow down for his Father. Would you let somebody bow down for yours, and do you know they disrespectful? As simple as that. You don't need no book, no Bible. Ask Alexa what a Bible is. Full of religious thoughts. People that they deem privileged at that time, wise. Right? Come on. They have never wrote a book with a black man and good about them. Okay? So I'm supposed to believe what I read? No. I believe what I sense. I can read it. I get the sense of God out of it. Because the words. And it puts me in that transformation to think on that mentality. But it don't mean I believe everything I read. You shouldn't either. Don't be programmed. People believe more in religion and Santa Claus than they do God. And religion and God is 2 different things. Language and denomination got more in common than they got with God. There's just a bunch of different forms. God supposed to know all. Plain and simple. I mean, you got sports teams, because I'm like the Cleveland Brown. I might be Cav, and you the Pittsburgh, and you the Pittsburgh Steelers, and you Christian, but we're on different teams. No, we're on the same team in humanity. It separates us. Just believe in God. Believe a female is a goddess, and believe a male is an angel. Be on that team. Your angel team serving a goddess. And the only way you can be able to bow down for God, you got to bow down for a goddess, and you got to respect Jesus and know that you're serving Jesus before you can serve God. Jesus is not going to allow you to speak to his Father until you earn your way through heaven's gate. Earning your way is respecting him and giving him his authority that he has. He is our Lord. God gave him Lord over us when he gave him domain over heaven's gate. Respect that, understand and follow the chain of command. We have the chain of command on earth. We are built in the image of God. This, the way we flow down here, I believe it's probably the same way up in heaven. That's what we know. That's what we've been programmed with. Now honor the system and follow the system. And don't live off that privilege. There's a difference. What's difficult on earth is your trials and tribulation, and you make it through, you will be rewarded in heaven. But again, understand your zodiac signs, how they relate to you. Have a blessed evening.